All right, and the next fight up on the main card takes place at 170 pounds in the welterweight division. You have the former middleweight making a run at 170 pounds, coming off a TKO loss to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, trying to get back on track in Kevin Trailblazer Holland, also known as the Big Mouth, going up against a man who was considered to be a potential title contender, a potential number one contender earlier on in the, back in 2015. And he's had some decent wins. He went back and forth with Jeff Neal, who just almost beat Shavkat Rakhmonov via decision back at UFC 285, and Santiago Ponzinibbio coming out of American Top Team. Kevin Holland versus Santiago, the Argentine dagger, Ponzinibbio. This is a good fight. I see this fight being pretty back and forth in terms of the MMA community, in terms of people predicting who's going to win this one. I see some people saying that Santiago Ponzinibbio is too technical for a guy like Holland, even though Holland is long, rangy, and able to use his length and reach, that Ponzinibbio is going to pick him apart. He's going to be able to counter him with the straight right into the left hook, the straight right hand into the stance switching left hook, the jabs to the body, and he's going to be able to pick him apart on the feet because Holland is not the best defensively. He's not a defensively responsible fighter, and he does leave his head on the center line because he's so tall and rangy. And then I have other people saying that Ponzinibbio's shown chin issues. He got dropped by a guy in Alex Morono who took the fight on short notice, got dropped a couple times, almost lost that fight. He got knocked out by Li Jingliang, and even though he went back and forth with Jeff Neal, he's just not the same guy, and Kevin Holland's going to knock him out or submit him and run right through him. I think this is a very close and competitive fight. This is actually a fight that I wouldn't target in terms of a betting perspective from a lot of sides. I think that this is a fight that for most part you want to stay away from. And I'm not saying that you can't make money, because with every fight there's ways to make money from a betting perspective. There's always ways to make money. But this is one where it can go either way. And I do think there is a world where Ponzinibbio outpoints Kevin Holland, or he, keeps working the jab to the body, the jab's up top, and comes up with a jab left hook into the straight right hand. He's got a very long, quick right hand, and it's actually what he caught Alex Morono with. He was able to jab to the body, come up top, left hook, right hand against the fence, hurt him and drop him in a fight where he got dropped multiple times. So that's another thing you have to look at on the side of Ponzinibbio, is that he has been able to come back from adversity. He's been able to fight through adversity, and in fights where he's gotten hurt, where he's gotten rocked, where he's gotten dropped, he can come back, stick to the game plan, and make in-fight adjustments. When you look at a guy like Kevin Holland, I think Holland is a guy who's used to kind of running through a lot of people if it's a striking matchup. He always has had issues with grapplers and heavy takedown artists and people who like to work from the top, like a Marvin Vettori, who's another fighter that, Khamzat Chimaev's a good example, but that fight didn't last very long. Like Marvin Vettori, Khamzat Chimaev, Derek Brunson. He's always had issues with guys who could take him down and wrestle. And he does have submissions, because we've seen him showcase submissions in his career, but we've also seen him be able to showcase submissions against, most recently, Tim Means, where he hurt him on the feet with the straight right hand and then locked him up in a Darce choke and actually got the submission in a fight where I was pretty sure Holland was going to get a TKO. But he does give up takedowns. He's pretty comfortable in getting taken down and, giving up those positions because he's so heavy on the forward pressure. He'll overextend on punches, give his hips up, and get taken down pretty easily. His takedown defense has gotten better, but he's not really the best takedown artist defensively or offensively. I think that this fight, for the most part, is going to play out on the feet. If there is grappling, wrestling, and submission exchanges, I think those more would come from the side of Kevin Holland than Ponzinibbio, because Ponzinibbio's world is going to be keeping it on the feet at his range, jabbing to the body, slipping his head off the center line, jabbing to the body, jab, left hook, right hand, 1-2 down the center, the cross, switch stance into a southpaw, land the left hook, go back, double jab, right hand, jab, jab, left hook, right hand. The 1-3-2 is his best combination for Ponzinibbio. Very long, crisp jab, good ability to set up the cross. And Kevin Holland, a guy who is, decent on the feet, but his defense is lacking because he's so tall and rangy that he keeps his chin up in the air. 81-inch reach to a 73-inch reach for Ponzinibbio. So it's going to be a 8-inch reach advantage for Holland, and also a 3-inch height advantage. So 3 inches in height to 7 inches in reach. So he's going to be the taller, longer fighter. He's going to be able to use the range. I also think that Kevin Holland is the much quicker fighter when it comes to unloading his boxing combinations, unloading his striking. The more technical fighter is Ponzinibbio. The sharper striker in the fight is Ponzinibbio. But the quicker fighter, the longer fighter, the rangier fighter is going to be Kevin Holland. So he has good jabs, good crosses, good straight punches. I think he'll be able to get to the chin of Ponzinibbio before Ponzinibbio can get to the chin of Holland. But I think if Ponzinibbio mixes it up and uses multi-level attacks, jabbing to the body, feint the jab, left hook, right low kick, step off on the angle, come back 2-3, right body kick. If he can chop the legs of a taller, longer fighter like a Kevin Holland and slow him down and then unload his boxing combinations against a guy who isn't the best defensively and kind of relies on his height and reach to defend the strikes, then I think that Ponzinibbio can have some success. I think he can even potentially finish Kevin Holland later in the fight. If we look at the significant strikes, 4.06 are landed for Kevin Holland per minute compared to 5.02 for Ponzinibbio. So he basically lands one more significant strike per minute, but the significant strike accuracy and percentages is actually on the side of the trailblazer in the big mouth Kevin Holland, with a 54% significant strike accuracy compared to a 41% significant strike accuracy rate on the side of Ponzinibbio. Strikes absorbed per minute, Holland is actually also better defensively, which I find a little bit, concerning, but I can see why, because Ponzinibbio does get hit a lot, and if he starts getting tagged, he does have issues moving his head off the center line and coming back with counters. He absorbs 2.96 strikes per minute on the side of Kevin Holland to 4.65 on the side of Ponzinibbio, but the defense overall is more on the side of Ponzinibbio. 52% striking defense for Holland to 61% striking defense on the side of Santiago Ponzinibbio. So overall, even though he absorbs more strikes, he's better defensively than Kevin Holland, which I expected, watching the tape, because like I said, Holland's long, tall, rangy, and relies on his length and reach to keep him away from shots more than actually having a good high guard slipping ability or the Philly shell shoulder roll like we've talked about earlier. Looking at the grappling, that's going to be more on the side of Holland. He's got a 41% takedown accuracy to a 30% takedown accuracy for Ponzinibbio, but Ponzinibbio is going to want to keep it on the feet, and I think Holland will entertain that and keep it on the feet as well. He's going to want to strike it out with Ponzinibbio. 50% takedown defense for Holland to 60% takedown defense for Ponzinibbio. 0.52 submission average for Holland, no submissions for Ponzi. He's going to want to keep it on the feet. I think that this fight is a lot closer than people think, but I think the ability of Ponzinibbio to get hit with these big shots. I mean, you look at the Alex Morono fight, like he caught him as he was slipping off the center line to land that jab and bum rushed him and dropped him. He dropped him with a right hand. The jab, boom, into the overhand right. Or I think it was a 1-2, but he switched his stance briefly and caught him. He can get caught with long, rangy, straight punches and overhands. And against a guy who's as long as Kevin Holland, who has the reach advantage like a Kevin Holland, I think Holland's actually going to tag up Ponzinibbio before he's able to close off that distance and work him over. If it gets towards the midpoint of the second round and into the third round, then that probably means Ponzinibbio is able to establish his jab to the body, pair up the jab with the lead left hook to the right hand, jab, left hook, right low kick, work the low kicks and slow down Kevin Holland, strike off the break in the clinch. If it's going into the second or third round, then it's probably more than likely going to be Santiago Ponzinibbio's fight, and the Argentinian dagger, or the Argentine dagger, is more than likely running away with it and being the more technical fighter, which he already is. But the speed of Kevin Holland and the length of Kevin Holland, I think, is going to leave Ponzinibbio open to get caught, because he is a defensive liability, and he has been caught, tested, hurt multiple times in the Alex Morono fight, knocked out by Jingliang Li, hurt with big shots from Jeff Neal, but a back and forth competitive fight. And we saw what Neal just did to Rachmanov. He knocked out Neil Magny back in the day. That was his biggest win. It was a jab to the body, to the right hand, right up against the cage. And I think for Ponzinibbio, he's going to want to push Kevin Holland back and get him up against the cage using the lateral movement, cutting him off, using angles to trap him up against the wall, and then land the big jab, the right hand behind it, the long crosses from southpaw and orthodox, or the switch stance overhands as he tries to close the distance in on Holland. That's going to be the best weapon. But I think Kevin Holland's going to catch him on the chin, drop him, and I think he's actually going to submit him. So I'm going to go with Kevin Holland to defeat Santiago Ponzinibbio via a second round Darce choke submission. I think he's going to catch him kind of like Tim Means, hurt him, drop him. He's going to jump on him. Ponzinibbio is going to be able to survive. When he goes to stand up or turn into Kevin Holland, he's going to give up his neck and he's going to lock in that Darce choke and get the sub. So my pick is going to be Kevin Trailblazer Holland to defeat Santiago, the Argentine Dagger Ponzinibbio, via second round Darce choke submission. Betting perspective, I like fight doesn't go to decision, but I could see it going to a decision. Other than that, I think you just stay away from it. Maybe the unders, under 2.5, fight doesn't go to decision. But aside from that, I would stay away from it. But my pick is going to be Kevin Holland to defeat Santiago Ponzinibbio via second round Darce choke.